Levarme la moustache en la capucha. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki tacatiki. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casito patanilo, mira tacatiki puneti. Casani levarme la moustache en la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm going to talk about the article or the whatever with Pro Football Focus where they declared our two young defensive ends the best duo in the NFL. Now, again, I've already expressed how this season is the season for the season of terror for Montez Sweat and Chase Young. And I told y'all that a lot of outlets feel that we undervalue Montez Sweat. But I'm going to tell y'all something that might be slightly controversial. Now, a lot of people that I've said this to have had the issue of what I mean by it, or they've had the issue with thinking that it's not the right thing to do. So with that being said, this is what I feel can happen. We can keep our young ends, but we can keep our young ends, but how do y'all feel about our defensive tackles being a rotation group? Think about that before you get upset or get mad or say, man, here he is again. Frustrated fans, why do I even sit up there and turn to his damn channel or why I look at it? Hear me out. We can keep our young ends if we do in fact go with a rotational defensive tackle scheme. Let me explain that a little bit. Now, I will say this. Finding defensive tackles like Aaron Donald is hard. Finding defensive tackles like Daron Payne isn't that hard. And I'm just going to be honest with y'all. There are a lot of defensive tackles out there that are serviceable guys. That doesn't mean that Daron Payne isn't better than serviceable, but when you think about what you could have with your two stellar ends for the long term, how many of y'all would be okay with Jonathan Allen leaving and Daron Payne leaving with the understanding that you keep Chase Young and Montez Sweat? Not only that, you actually have money to keep anybody else you want to. Because when you think about it, Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne are going to cost you in the range of maybe 18, maybe 17, maybe even 19 mil a year. Why not sit up there and think of something else? If I said right now to y'all, okay, we can sign Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis to long-term deals that don't hurt us. We can probably get them at 13 each, right? How would y'all feel about that? Going with Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be like, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with letting Jonathan Allen go and letting Daron Payne go if we can keep Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis and at the same time keep Montez Sweat and Chase Young for God knows how many more years. Think about that. We can keep both of them. See, because so many times we've been talking about we can't sign everybody. That's true. We can't sign everybody. But what about focusing on the ones that's the most important? Because let's talk about it. Jonathan Allen, yes, he's a locker room guy. But we all do know and see that eventually Chase Young will become that locker room leader. Not only that, there will probably be more guys listening to him because not only is he vocal about it, he also shows it on the field. That's not to say that Jonathan Allen doesn't, but at the same time, we all understand that you can't have every alpha male in the room. At some point, we all know that Chase Young will take over that leadership role, and there won't be a need for Jonathan Allen. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we don't need Jonathan Allen or anything of that such nature, but what I am saying is that we don't need him if we can keep both our young ends. Like I said, it's hard to find defensive tackles like Aaron Donald. It's not that hard to find defensive tackles like Jonathan Allen, like Tim Settle, like Daron Payne. Guys who can get it done, and at the same time, you got the most devastating duo on the ends. But what we do know is how hard it is to find pass rush talent like what we currently have in these two young guys. So I say to y'all, how many of y'all are willing to make that move? How many of y'all are thinking about that? How many of y'all would like sit up there and say, you know what? This might be a good idea. Especially when you get the opportunity to keep both of your young ends. Will they cost? Of course they will. But guess what? You'll have that money available to you if you don't have the defensive tackles that you have. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need them, but what I'm saying is that if there's an opportunity for us to keep the two young guys, that is something we should really analyze and think about. Because understand this, let's just say by chance, Montez Sweat cost us about, let's just say, 20 mil a year. And then when Chase Young come up, he cost us about 25 mil a year. Guess what? We'll have that type of money available to us for both of them. Think about that. 50 mil on your books for 1 year. 50 mil on your books a year. Just for these two guys. But understand, that's a smart move. Just analyze that for a minute. Now, I get that most times it may come off as, you're trying to understand, or you're like, we don't want to rip up this defense right now. I get it. Nobody wants to rip up this defense right now, but at the same time, future-wise, I would rather take these young boys than to sit up here and deal with a locker room guy. Because understand this, for every Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, you might find yourself a DJ Reader. You might find yourself a Eric Armstead. You may find yourself a Javon Hargrove. You may find yourself guys that are steady guys that can get it done. And at the same time, you're talking about having the most devastating duo for probably the next 10 years. Think about that. Could you imagine having a duo that can possibly that can mess around and both end up in a season with 20 sacks? Maybe even 25 sacks each. Think about that. How about keeping a young guy like Cameron Curl? Or being able to sign a guy like Jamin Davis? Or being able to keep a guy like Cole Holcomb? Like I said, there is ways that we can keep our young ends. And it would be great for us. But how comfortable are a lot of you with sitting up there and having a rotation at defensive tackle that doesn't involve possibly Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, maybe even Matt Ioannidis. But you get to keep your ends for 10 years. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.